I can tell you that we've been looking carefully at the project. I can tell you that this week I spoke with the CEO of Kinder Morgan. I can tell you that we're looking to make sure that we get to the first best solution that ensures that the jobs that we're trying to make sure materialize in Alberta, but also in BC and across the country, happen, and that this project, which is going to be positive for our economy, gets done. That's my absolute goal, and we're making progress.
Does that May 31st deadline feel like a looming deadline, or do you hope to get something done before that? In other words, do we wait to the 31st, or is there something that could happen sooner?
We're working, every day I'm on this, as is my team. What I can say is that the reason that matters from our perspective is we know that there's work that is going to be done this construction season. So that's really the reason for that date. And those jobs, which are going to be important in Alberta and in British Columbia, important in particular for Indigenous communities, they need to get going. So that's why we need to be working with appropriate speed, but obviously we need to be responsible about finding the best way.
There is a related issue in this country, and that is bottlenecks for the shipment of grain and other agricultural products by rail, because the rail cars in some cases are being used to ship oil. Is it time for the federal government to step in? I mean, how much can be done to get the rail companies to increase their efficiency and volume?
It's obviously a business issue, I think, the capacity issue. I think what we're seeing is a level of concern in the agricultural sector, obviously, but broadly. And so we've been very clear that it's important for CP Rail, in the case of the recent labor discussions, to work together with labor in a business-like fashion, because we know how important that is for all constituents. So we don't believe that we should be intervening in a way that doesn't allow the natural course of management and labor to work together appropriately, but we do want to make sure that we are able to get our goods to market.
We have talked before about kind of a growing chorus of voices saying Canada's becoming less competitiveness. At the end of last year, foreign direct investment for 2017, we learned, was very low, multi-year lows. We are falling on the ease of doing business rankings that the World Bank puts together. What's your thoughts? What are your current thoughts on what we can do to be more competitive?
Well, my first thought, obviously, is that my job, the job of our government, is to ensure that Canada remains competitiveness. Obviously, we need to start with the facts of where we're at. People can pick and choose different statistics. What we came into office saying is the first most important thing for us is to ensure that Canadians have jobs. When you're in a position where you've got the lowest unemployment rate in 40 years, which is where we find ourselves today, at 5.8% or so, you're seeing the emergence of wage gains. You're starting to see that impact business decisions. We actually saw a pickup in business investment in 2017. Business investment in Canada was up 8% in 2017. So where are we? We do need to think about those concerns around competitiveness that will always be there, but some that are heightened right now. The discussion around NAFTA, the issue that we were talking about, the Trans Mountain expansion, the change in tax rates in the United States, the importance of keeping our labor force trained for changing job realities. So we're working on all these things. We're working very diligently to make sure we get to a positive outcome on NAFTA. You've heard me talk about the Trans Mountain expansion, how important that is. We are looking carefully at the U.S. tax changes to make sure that our tax system remains competitive. But we're starting from a position of strength. So that's what I'm always going to bring back to Canadians. When more Canadians are working, when the economy's growing rapidly, we grew fastest in the G7 over the last year and a half, it puts us in a good position to think about where we move to tomorrow. So I will constantly go back to business people and listen to them and say, you need to help me to understand what exactly are the prescriptions to ensure we remain competitive. But what I won't do is accept the frame that we're not competitive, because we've clearly seen to be putting ourselves in a very good position over the last year and a half.
So what do you make of the kind of, it is a chorus of voices on the business side, and yesterday David Dodge on this channel. What do you make of that? Kind of insistent on the negative, that things aren't that good?
First of all, I realize that people are always looking forward. So that's what business people should do. That's what families do when they think about getting jobs for their children and thinking about new jobs for themselves. So they're going to look forward and worry about the future. And we're at a moment where there's some disruptions going on. We're at a moment where we're talking about NAFTA. It's critically important to our economy, also to the U.S. economy. We're at a moment where we have a jurisdictional issue that is happening between Alberta and BC with respect to this pipeline. And we're at a moment where the United States has changed their tax rates. These are creating anxiety. So our job is to deal with that in a way that considers the facts. I will listen to people's concerns and also listen about what they think we should be doing to move forward, but it's going to be fact-based. It's going to start with the fact that our tax rates remain competitive, just not as competitive as they were before the U.S. made their changes. There are specific changes that the United States has made that mean we need to look carefully at whether we respond. But we're not going to do it without that proper analysis, and we are going to deal with those big competitive challenges, NAFTA, the Trans Mountain expansion, in a way that protects our interests and makes clear that we're going to get to a better outcome.